Alright, guys, welcome to the 16th episode of the Trackside Girls podcast.
I don't even know how to do that. It's like one and then a six.
Yeah, we'll have to. We're gonna figure out how, like, hand signals. So, as always, we'll do NASCAR first. We spoke last week about the fight between Matt Crafton and Nick Sanchez. Matt Crafton was fined $25,000 for obviously assaulting Nick Sanchez, and then Nick Sanchez was fined $5,000. But neither of them were suspended. Speaking of fines, Chandler Smith was fined $10,000 for not having a helmet sock or helmet skirt during Cup qualifying whenever he raced, and which that's as part of the new regulations. All drivers are required to wear fireproof undergarments, so like shirt, pants. I think in Formula One they call it like a balaclava, which is basically like the mask looking thing. And then they just now recently put on like the helmets. They have like an actual like piece that like wraps around the bottom of the helmet. But he was fined for that. Big news in the women in motorsports front. Hailie Deegan will be moving to Xfinity Series Racing. That is very exciting. She's going to be driving full-time for AM Racing. They're adding on a second car. And which I feel like, I personally think she's going to do really well. I just feel like the trucks are hard for everyone. And not everyone can succeed in the trucks. So I have high hopes for her. So you guys know I had to talk about this one because technically he is my favorite driver. Austin Cindric has confirmed that he will be back in the 2 car next season. The race. Oh my gosh, I was there for the Xfinity race, and I don't even really remember what happened. I was mainly paying attention to, so I was invited by one of the members of Our Motorsports. He's a friend of mine, and so I was there supporting Blaine Perkins. And honestly, I was just mainly focusing on Blaine and hope that he actually had a good finish. He usually does better on road courses. And he was starting on either the first or second row in one of the late restarts. And so apparently the team told him to follow the 27. 27 went into the wall in turn 1, and guess where Blaine went? Into the wall as well.
I didn't watch Xfinity or Cup because I was in Texas.
But yeah, it was. Well, for the Xfinity race, Sam Mayer won the Xfinity race.
I said that he was gonna pull a Carson and get 3 wins after he got his first one.
Well, he still got.
I know, but after Carson got his first win in trucks, he proceeded to win 2 more times in the same year that he got his first win, and that's what Sam's done.
Well, he's still got 2 more chances to make it 4.
Sam won the pole and he won the race.
Oh, yes, a bookend. We love it. That was actually really cool because like the pit box that I was with, they were on the start finish line, So I got to watch from the pit wall Sam's burnout, and my mom was there, and she was watching the guy with the camera that chases the car, you know. And my mom's like, "That idiot's gonna get hit," and I'm like, "No, like that man risks everything to get that shot, okay?" Like, but it was really cool to watch like in real time, like from that angle. Because like obviously all the smoke from the burnout, and then you just see Sam's car sliding through the smoke. Oh, it was so cool. I wish I got it on camera. Um, but I have a bunch of interactions from the weekend, but we'll set those aside for the end, so we can just get through everything. Um, the cup race. Um, let's see. Remind me who got pole.
Tyler Reddick.
Right. Yes. Tyler Reddick got pole, which I feel like makes sense. He's a really good road racer. But ultimately, AJ Allmendinger ended up winning the race. So meaning he is a playoff spoiler. For like in the race, I know we had mentioned Eric Jones and Michael McDowell had an accident. We were kind of calling karma on that one because of how many accidents Eric Jones kind of initiates. And then we had Corey LaJoy like just completely clear out Josh Bilicki. Ricky Stenhouse caught on fire. Like actually on fire. I think those were really the main events of the race. And it was a cutoff race. Meaning, let's see, Bubba Wallace is no longer in it, I believe, right? Ross Chastain got knocked out.
Bubba, Ross, Kyle Busch, and Brad Keselowski got knocked out.
Yes. So they no longer have a shot at the championship trophy at the end of the year. But there are still 8 left. There's still 8 drivers in the fight, and Ryan Blaney is one of them. So we'll find out if Penske can pull a dub for 2 years in a row here in a couple weeks. There was some really big news that I feel like we have to talk about because, hello, we're the Carson hosts of our fan club. Man, I'm the only one. Okay, I don't own Carson merch. I'm sorry. Carson Hocevar has confirmed that he will be in the 77 for Spire Motorsports next season, full time. And you know, I'll talk about all my interactions with him at the end.
He has a multi-year contract.
So we're gonna see our boy in the Cup Series. Let's see. So Legacy Motor Club has announced a new competition advisor, Matt Kenseth. Past Cup Series driver and winner. I'm not sure if he's won a championship or not. I can't remember right off. I don't know his racing stats like that. But he is still a big name in the sport. And I'm sure Legacy is absolutely grateful to have him. And there are rumors that Noah Gragson is one of the candidates for the 10 car at Stewart Haas Racing. Woo! So that's exciting. We're gonna hopefully soon find out who actually goes into that car, because I believe this is gonna be Eric Almirola's last year, because a couple seasons ago Smithfield wanted him back, but as far as I know, it's that's has been completed, and yeah, we'll see what's next. Really, the IndyCar news, there isn't much. I know Pato O'Ward visited the McLaren Technology Center to get fitted for the car in Abu Dhabi, where he is going to be driving in the first free practice session. There was a Will Power and Scott McLaughlin sighting in Mooresville, North Carolina last week that I missed, and my dad saw them. Didn't talk to them though, because he was too busy chasing Rusty Wallace. But two of Penske's drivers were hanging out in Mooresville because Roger Penske was inducted into, I'm not exactly sure what they call it, but they do have a walk of fame in Mooresville, North Carolina, and he was a part of that. And sad I missed out on them, because it's like once in a blue moon you can catch them, but I was at work. But let's do a quick rundown of Formula One. I didn't get to watch the Friday and Saturday sessions because I was at the track, but I'll just lay out everything that I know. Friday, we had one practice session and qualifying because it was a sprint weekend. And Max Verstappen got pole. That's not strange. That's not surprising. But yes, we had Max win pole. Nothing really big happened throughout those. And actually, Oscar Piastri was originally supposed to be in the podium positions for qualifying, but in the middle of his interview, the interviewer got word that the FIA gave, I think it was deleted his time for track limits. And so while he was mid-interview, the interviewer stopped him and was like, yeah, I just heard you got demoted. So it was nice talking to you. So that was embarrassing. And then I believe something similar happened with the sprint shootout, or sprint qualifying, where he placed in the top 3 positions, and he was being interviewed, and he literally had PTSD. He was like, yeah, I'm just gonna give it 5 minutes for the FIA to make sure that's correct. But Oscar Piastri won his first Formula race. It wasn't a Grand Prix, but he did win the sprint race. And on Saturday, Max Verstappen clinched the World Championship. He has claimed his 3rd World Championship because Checo Perez wrecked out of the sprint race. So Max Verstappen is a 3-time world champion. Whenever I found out that news, I was standing on pit road right before the Xfinity race, and I was squealing, jumping up and down, and everybody looked at me like I was crazy. And a little side note, I had told Blaine Perkins that information, and he's like, hasn't he basically been champion for the past, like, 3 months? And I'm like, you're not wrong, but now it's confirmed. But, but yeah, so that was Saturday. Sunday for the race, Max Verstappen won. That was pretty self-explanatory. And it was a double McLaren podium once again, but this time Oscar Piastri had the second step. Oscar Piastri placed ahead of his teammate Lando Norris, and just that race, all in all, was very taxing on the drivers. Like, Lance Stroll admitted that, like, the last 20 laps, he was basically passing out in the corners because of the heat and the conditions, and because of how high speed the corners are, you're just basically being hit with all of those G-forces. And as he was climbing out of his car at the end of the race, he literally had to stop and catch his breath, and then he also ran over to the ambulance that was right next to his car, trying to get help. And actually, another thing with Lance Stroll that I wanted to mention, after he got knocked out of qualifying, he got back to the garage. One, he threw his steering wheel when some of the mechanics tried to catch it. That's a very expensive item, if you didn't know. And then there is a clip of him making it back to the little hallway in his garage and shoving, I believe it was his race engineer. So Lance Stroll was not a happy camper going into the race. But the conditions of the race, you had Esteban Ocon throw up in his helmet in lap 17. And there were a bunch of drivers who couldn't stand after they got out of the car. Like, it was just a very stressful race, not even just for the racing. It was just for the driver's condition. But all in all, Max Verstappen won. And then yeah, I think that that's the majority of the information. Let me some little, let's see, we had Logan Sargent. He retired from the race. He was not feeling well. He felt like he was going to throw up, which earlier in the week, he did not feel well. He had flu-like symptoms. But during the race, the team gave him the option and was like, hey, it's completely up to you if you want to retire. Like, we're not going to hold that against you. If you do not feel well, do not race. And ultimately, he returned to the garage. And I believe he was checked out by the medical staff. I believe they did show up at Williams' garage and wanted to make sure and check on him. So AlphaTauri will be announcing their new name at the U.S. Grand Prix, which is, they'll start, I believe, using that in 2024, like for 2024. So that's very exciting. Oliver Behrman, driver in Formula 2, is going to be running the free practice 1 session for Haas in both Mexico and Abu Dhabi. So little Ollie is going to be driving an F1 car.
Little Ollie.
So for the Grand Prix, Carlos, they weren't even let him start the race. Or actually, it wasn't let them. He had a mechanical issue. It had to do with the fuel system on his car, so he couldn't even start. And with that, where he was starting was supposed to be an open spot on the grid. And whenever they came around for the formation lap, Nico Hulkenberg didn't really register that there was supposed to be an open spot in front of him, because that's where Carlos Sainz was. So Nico got a penalty for not starting in the correct space. Apparently multiple drivers fainted in the medical center after the Grand Prix. So it was a rough time at the Qatar Grand Prix. Daniel Ricciardo is supposed to be back for Austin, which I'm excited to see him back, because Austin is one of his favorite races. He's stated that multiple times, and that means we might be able to see Danny Rick riding in on a horse once again this year. So pretty excited, pretty hype about that. All right, so this coming weekend is only a NASCAR weekend. Formula One is not back until next weekend when they're here visiting the U.S. As for this weekend in NASCAR, we have Las Vegas. And I do believe it is only Cup and Xfinity once again. The trucks only have Homestead and Phoenix. Picks on Vegas. Honestly, it's probably gonna be William Byron. I don't know. Who do you guys think is a favorite for Vegas?
I don't know, because I don't even remember last year's Vegas race.
It was Joey Logano. He won a spot in the championship 4.
Right.
I just feel like Blaney.
Honestly, it probably is gonna be really good.
Yeah.
Really,
as much as I would love for it to be Ryan Blaney to get him into the championship 4, it's probably gonna be William Byron.
Yeah.
Let's see. How do the cutoff races work in Xfinity? Let me see how the schedule is. Oh yeah, so Xfinity is also running the next 3 races for their round of 8. So they have the same amount of races as Cup for the rest of the season. Man, who in the Xfinity series could win at Vegas? I feel like any of the Junior Motorsports cars, potentially. I feel like Justin Allgaier might be one of the favorites, I'd say. That or John Hunter Nemechek.
Yeah.
I mean, this also could be just a thought. We could do who we want in the championship 4 and who do we actually think is going to be the championship 4.
I mean, I have a feeling I already know who's gonna win for Cup, but
Or okay, or do we want to do who we want right now, and then who? Because the episode that we do right before Martinsville.
We better have wood nearby so we can knock on it.
I mean, my desk's made of.
Yeah, whatever.
My table that I have is wood. So
hold on, I have to let me pull out the list of who all is. Are we in the wait? Okay, yes. Okay.
What are we starting with? Are we starting with like trucks, Xfinity, or Cup?
Oh,
okay. Let's do. Let's. Oh no! Wait, they're already in the round of 8 in and trucks. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and do our 4 for the trucks, because they only have 1 race left, before the championship 4. Okay.
This is who we want.
Yes, Carson Hocevar.
Obviously.
Zane Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he's like very bottom of the list. Honestly, I want Nick Sanchez. And Ben Rhodes. I would say out of the 8 that are there, I would pick Carson, Zane, Nick, and Ben Rhodes. Those are who I want.
I mean, I would say Carson, Zane, Ben, and none of the others. Because I don't care for really any of them.
Let's see. I know.
Except for like
I was
Corey.
I was about to say. I know you don't like Corey. I know you don't like Christian. Like. No. you're kind of narrowing down your choices.
I mean, I guess Nick then. So basically the same 4 you have.
Okay.
Basically.
Molly, what is your truck series championship for?
Oh,
what is your dream championship for look like?
Carson.
Mm-hmm.
Zane.
Mm-hmm.
Ben. And either Grant or Nick.
So the same. We all have the same one.
The same.
I said either Grant or Nick. Either one of those 2.
So we have the same.
Yeah.
Got it.
Basically. Like, I feel like...
Actually, if I could have it, it'd be Carson Hocevar, Carson Hocevar, Carson Hocevar, Carson Hocevar. Holy cow. Try and say that 4 times fast. That's tricky.
Alright. Okay. So let's do our Dream Xfinity Championship 4. Let's see. Sam Mayer, Justin Allgaier, Chandler Smith, and gosh, I'm gonna say Cole Custer.
Justin Allgaier, Sam Mayer, Cole Custer, and Sammy Smith.
Yeah, I'm with Molly on that one. Justin, Sam, Sammy, and Cole.
So I want the other Smith, not Sammy Smith. I want Chandler Smith. All right. Okay. Now, Cup Series. Ryan Blaney, Tyler Reddick, Chris Buescher, and Christopher Bell. Literally the ones that are all out of the top 4 right now. I want the bottom 4. the list.
I am unwell because I don't know who to pick.
Well, we know Molly's gonna have Ryan Blaney.
Well, I'm also gonna say Blaney because it's Blaney. I don't know. I want to say William, but I have a feeling that he'll probably just end up winning the championship anyways. So, yeah, probably Tyler. And then I'm going to say Bell.
Okay, so those are your 4. So, Blaney, Bell, Byron. And anyway, you said who else?
Willie B, Blaney, Tyler Reddick, and Bell.
Oh, Tyler Reddick, that was your, okay.
I guess that'll be my 4-ish.
Ryan Blaney,
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Reddick, William Byron, and Chris Buescher.
Okay, a bit of a mixed bag. I like the underdogs, so
gotta have the Fords in there.
Yeah.
More of the Fords in there. Those are the only 2 Fords in the round of 8.
I got 2 Fords, 2 Toyotas.
Mm-hmm. I got 2 Fords, 1 Toyota, and 1 Chevy.
I got all of the above.
But, alright. So, that's our dream championship 4s across all 3 series. Now, my weekend at Charlotte, Concord, Kannapolis area. So Thursday was a kickball game. I got off work an hour later than I had planned, and then drove a whole 2.5 hours to get to this kickball game. Last year it was really fun, but this year, I feel like I met so many more drivers. They had different ones, or somewhat different ones. They had some repeaters, but I feel like this year I liked the variety of across the different series. But here we'll go through my list. I'll go through. Let's see. So we started off as soon as I got there. I saw Stephen Parsons. I always love seeing Stephen. Like, he is such a cool dude. And then Ryan Preece was there with the Gene Haas Foundation team. I got a picture with Bubba Wallace. Him and Ryan Blaney were playing on the same team out in the other fields that they had outside the stadium. There's my picture with Ryan.
Cool sunglasses, bro.
Yeah. And then Corey was playing down on the field. So I ran down there to the edge of the field and I was like, "Hey, can I get a picture?" He by this point recognizes me. I'll get to that because I talked to him on Saturday. So I'll go over that part. And then my bestie came through. Corey LaJoy's manager that follows me on Instagram gave me the list of the celebrity game. So she let me take a picture of the roster so I knew all of the drivers that were going to be there. So we love her. Her name's Leanne. She is literally amazing. Like, she helped put together the majority of this game. Like, Corey called her the gatekeeper of the kickball tournament. Someone I was really excited that was there. I freaked out. I met Connor Daly. Like, you guys have heard me talk about him. I give little updates of his, like, IndyCar adventures, right? But I finally met him. I literally saw him coming out of the hallway and I like booked it down to the fence area and I yelled at him and I'm like, "Connor, please, can I get a picture?" And I even told him, and I was like, I talk about you so much on the podcast. Like, I give everyone updates on you. But, so, you know what? Maybe we'll get Connor Daly on here, potentially. That would be so great. Gosh. And then, you know, we saw the boy Harrison. I saw him and I called him, obviously, so Harrison recognizes me. Harrison knows me from how many times we've talked. And, like, I talk to his girlfriend all the time whenever I see her at the track. And so I was like, I called him and I'm like, Harrison, and I'm like, yeah, can I get a picture? And then he's obviously, like, over a little further away on the other side of a fence. This man climbs the fence to get over to but we love Harrison. Harrison's always so sweet. And his birthday was yesterday from whenever we were filming this. So the 9th. So happy late birthday, Harrison. Then we saw our boy, Carson Hocevar. I printed out a Polaroid of mine and his first picture together when I met him last year at Talladega. And so he signed it and wrote a little note on it with a little heart. We saw our boy Zane. He's a little far away because he's a little lower, but he looks so adorable. I got to talk to McCall later that night too. Just let me go through the events of the kickball game. So I went out to, like, the outfield of one of the kickball games where it was Parker, Todd, Tanner Gray, Carson, Raja, all of them were playing in one game. They were on different teams, but they were all playing in one game. And so I'm back here. We have Parker and Carson over here in the outfield on one team. And then whenever they would swap, I'd have Todd Gilliland standing right in front of me. And Todd's over here. One, he's singing Taylor Swift. Okay? And then two, he's over here, he's like, oh my gosh, you guys might see me throw up. I'm so nervous. And I'm like, bro, what? That man is so funny. Oh,
love that Todd is a Swiftie.
Yes.
Love it.
It's so funny. But, then I ended up meeting this girl and her boyfriend, and she was like, hey, do you want to come sit with us, like, for the final matches? And they were playing that on the main diamond of the baseball field. So we go down there and we're sitting front row, like right behind home plate on the third base side, right? So all of these drivers are just walking back and forth in front of this, like, mesh fence, okay? And so every time one went by, I'd call them on over, and I'm like, hey, can I get a picture? And it literally made this girl's day, like, because I was catching all these drivers. And, like, the majority of them, I feel like, have seen me a lot because I'm kind of all over the place. So they'd stop and they'd be like, yeah, sure. So the first victim of the night was Tanner Gray. I caught Tanner and got him to take a picture with me. And then we have Bestie Parker. While intros for the kickball game were happening, I told Parker, and I was like, I have a surprise for you on Saturday. And then he's like, okay, appreciate it. What is it? And I'm like, nope, you're gonna have to find out. I will get to that surprise. Then we have Cole Custer.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so I called Carson over a second time. And this is when I asked him about the podcast. But I also mentioned that he met the girlies the week before in Talladega, and then I showed him that we were matching bracelets, so that we were like how we were all connected, you know. And so I got a picture of the boy showing off the bracelet. But then we have Mamba. So I got a picture of Mamba. Mamba knows me. Mamba, like, me and Mamba are chill. And then Todd.
Todd.
I was waiting for it. I was waiting.
Todd. That's honestly just his nickname. Ever since I called him Toddy Todd at Kansas, it's just kind of there, and it's just kind of stuck. And then I heard Michael McDowell literally call him Toddy Todd at Atlanta. I was like, did you like hear me on the yeah, at Atlanta, Michael McDowell said Toddy Todd to Todd as he walked up. And I wanted to be like, did you hear me at Kansas call him Toddy Todd? Because Michael McDowell, most definitely, it was Todd and then Michael McDowell. And I said Toddy Todd as Michael McDowell was right there.
Maybe he did.
Well, that's Todd's nickname that I gave him was Toddy Todd. Just like Harrison's is Hair Bear, Carson's is just, you know, Carson apparently now. Or Pretty Boy, whatever one you want to prefer. But I literally called Todd Toddy Todd. And it's funny.
But we have the next one, John Hunter Nemechek. He's actually like honestly really chill off the racetrack. And then we have Raja. We love Raja. I told him like whenever I took this picture, and I was like, hey, yeah, I'll see you tomorrow at the Legacy Fan Day. And he's like, all right, bet. And then, here's Harrison with his backwards hat that, like, Coda freaked out about.
That actually photo may or may not be in my camera roll, along with the picture of Carson may not be in my...
Yeah, Carson's picture may not be in my camera roll either.
So, ultimately, the kickball game... Carson's team, the team that he was on, they were for the Sheets Laundry Club. They came in second. It was so heartbreaking. Carson dropped the ball that he was trying to catch, and he literally dropped to the ground and was laying on the ground. He was so upset at himself. But ultimately, of course, Corey LaJoie's team, Celsius, won. So the team that Corey has been on has won all 3 years. It's not rigged.
Definitely
not. But so at the end of the game, I had to go meet up with my dad. He was standing out on the backside of the stadium, waiting with one of his friends who had a bumper, like a nose of a car, to be signed by Corey. So I went out there to hang out with them before we left. I got a picture with Kurt Busch. We love Kurt. I saw Harrison again, and I told him, and I was like, no, hold up. I gotta get a picture with the backwards hat. The girlies are gonna flip. I legit said that. But we have Daniel Hemrick. And then Zane, my dad's getting stuff signed by Zane. This is where I started talking to McCall, asking her about their wedding preparations. She was so excited talking about it. Like, gosh, I love her. She's so sweet. And then here is Corey signing that nose. So he came out there and he was just hanging out, you know, sitting on his cooler, you know. He literally just brought it over, sat down, and took a seat for like 5 minutes. Carson actually came out, had walked out that way too, and I'd stopped him because I had to remind him about my hat, you know, because he still owes me a hat from last Charlotte race. And he was like, "All right, I got you. I promise." So I got up the next morning. I had to take my dad to the track at 4:30 in the morning so he could get in line to get a wristband for the Joe Gibbs Fan Day, which he ended up getting one. But after that, I went my own way up onto Legacy. And I was only staying for the first autograph session that had Grant Anfinger, Raja, Daniel Dye, and Carson. Like, I couldn't stay for the rest of it because I had other things to do. But I went up there. I was there, God, before 6 a.m. And I was only like 50 people back. Like, I feel like if the Joe Gibbs Fan Day was not on the same day, there would have been a lot more people. But I don't even think they handed out all of their wristbands at Legacy. But I went through that line, and I got Carson's Cup Hero card. Unfortunately, it also has Mike Rockenfeller on it. They did a dual one, and I'm like, no. But I was walking around. I saw Raja, and I told him, I'm like, "Hey, I told you I'd be here," and he's like, and then he dapped me up. Like, I love Raja so much. He's so great. But I ended up buying a full nose to one of Carson's Cup cars from Bristol. The really pretty blue. That is now sitting in my room over here. 'Cause I have nowhere else to put it. Let's see, here we go. That's the picture, like, of it sitting at Legacy. So I was sitting here and I'm like texting back and forth with my dad, like debating on if I should get this nose or not. And Carson was still there at that point because he had just finished the autograph session and he had to do a Sirius XM segment. So I was like, okay, I can just buy this real quick and I can go run up there and catch him before he leaves, right? So it took forever for us to decide on if we were actually getting this nose or not. So Carson had already left by the time I got up there. So I had to rush and shove this huge giant nose into the back of my Jeep and basically chase him to Spire for their fan day. And I made it there. It started at noon, I think. And I got there at 12:09. So I like booked it. I met up with my dad and his friends. I left him my keys, took the nose out of my car, and started running. Because I didn't know how bad this fan day was gonna be. So I was like, alright, I gotta get in there before, like, it gets too crazy, or, but ultimately, I got there. I got in the door. Everybody's, like, sees me carrying this giant piece of car, and is like, what in the world is she doing, right? And then, so, the way it was set up was, you had, Ty Dillon and Marco Andretti, at one table, and then there was like a space, like an aisle, and then you had Carson and Corey at the very end. And so I walk in, I set my nose down in front of Ty Dillon, and then he, like, looks at it, he's like, oh, do you want me to sign that? And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, it's Carson's. and then he's like, oh, okay, and, like, goes to start to walk away, and I'm like, wait, but can I get a hero card? Like, like, and then he's like, oh, yeah, sure. So, like, he comes back and, like, signs this hero card and then goes to leave again. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I move on down, like, moving my nose down, you know, and then I get a hero card from Marco Andretti. And then I get to Carson, and he sees me, and I'm like, hi, bestie, I'm back. And he's like, hey, how's it going? You know, the vibes. And so I sit there, and he looks at it, he's like, I'm like, yeah, I bought this after you had left Legacy over there, so I had to come here so I could get you to sign it. And he did. He signed it. So he signed, like, his regular, like, autograph, but he also wrote on it Bristol 2023 P11. So, but I got him to sign it, and I got to take a picture with him, and my dad took it. My dad did not tell me I looked stupid in that photo, so I had to get Carson to retake it. But then I moved down to Corey, and he was like, man, you guys are just everywhere, and I'm like, don't call me out like that. But, so, we move on, you know, and then there's just a lot of people staring at my nose, you know, my Carson Hocevar nose. And so, like, I'm scrolling through these pictures, right, that my dad took, and I look at this, and I'm like, what is that? That is disgusting. Why do I look like that? So, I'm like, so Carson had moved away from the autograph table at this point, and he was standing, like, behind the merch table, where they were about to call out raffles and stuff. So, like, I, like, go over, because there's, like, a clothes rack, like, in between us that I can't, like, get up close to him. Like, so I, like, lean over the rack, and I'm like, hi, Carson. Can we retake our picture? My dad didn't tell me I looked stupid. So he's like, oh, yeah, no, absolutely, let's take another one. So, I got a better picture with my nose and Carson. And for this fan day, they, like, for one of the raffle prizes, you got to race in little RC cars with the 4 other drivers. And, so they did that, and all of them put on their race suits, and they did a little driver's intro, for all 4 of them. So, you know, Girly had to get a picture with her and Bestie in his race suit. Oh my gosh! So, I actually kind of found out the news that Carson was going to be in the 77 before it was announced, because I don't think Carson knew that he let that information slip. I was talking to him about the hat that I wanted, and he was wearing the 77 Xfinity hat, and I told him, like, that's the hat I want, and he's like, this is my last one, and I have to hold on to it because I still have appearances that I have to use it for. I'm like, okay, fine. He's like, I give away hats like crazy, and but next year, I told them to make me like 1,000 hats. He didn't realize that he was like, that he straight up admitted that he was gonna have more 77 hats for next year.
He's bad at keeping secrets.
So I don't know. I don't know if he actually had thought that through, or if he thought about that anything after that. But yeah, so I found out that information before it was announced. So here,
he's even said that himself. He's bad at keeping secrets.
So here's us with the nose. It's blurry, obviously, because my camera won't focus. And then we had the boy with the race suit. So the person taking the photo had cut off our feet, right? And I'm a photographer, and I had actually specifically told this guy, because I had just met him, okay? I was like, okay, I need you to get like full body, okay? Like, or else it's not gonna look good, okay? And so I look at them and I'm like, nope, we need to take another one. Our feet are cut off. And Carson was like chilling, you know, he was just hanging out. And he's like, okay, then let's take another one. So we got the one with the full bite, okay? And I literally looked at him and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm a photographer. Thank you so much for putting up with my antics this entire weekend. So Bestie Carson, I apologize for for bothering you so much. But so I left from there. I had to, something was going on with our passes. T-Mobile is a rat, but we got it figured out. I had passes to the Xfinity race, so we got that fixed, and then we had to go to JGR Fan Day. Obviously, I wasn't there at 8 o'clock to get a wristband, but I wasn't getting anything signed. So, in reality, they really couldn't say anything to me. So I somehow snuck into the line, through the line, just taking pictures, while my dad was in front of me getting autographs. And Ty Gibbs was first. So I'm like standing in front of Ty Gibbs, and I'm like, I straight up told him, and I'm like, the girls in the group chat would be so jealous of me standing in front of you right now. And he just laughed about it. Then you had Denny Hamlin. And my dad was wearing a 2311 shirt, okay? And with the wristband, you're only supposed to get one thing signed. But my dad had 3 cars for Denny. And my dad, or like Denny was like, which one do you want me to sign? And my dad's like, let's go with the rookie one. Okay, that's what started it all. And so Denny signs the rookie one, and then just goes, whatever, and just signs the rest of them. And so you have Martin Truex, who's right next to him, sees Denny sign all 3 of them, so Martin Truex just signs all 3 of them. So we're just like, alright, you know what, bet. Then you had Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell just kind of looks lost in everything he does, to be honest. And then it was John Hunter Nemechek and then Sammy Smith, rounding out the junior camp, or not junior, Jesus Christ, Joe Gibbs camp. There we go. Gosh, sorry. But so I had walked out of there. I was only taking pictures, and so they had to cut off the wristband after you had gotten everything signed. So I just like kind of step around my friends that actually have the wristbands that got things signed, They didn't say a single thing to me. Like, the people running like, to cut everything up, they didn't say a single thing to me. And I'm like, do you know how easy it could have been to sneak into this line, like, and get something signed? Because, like, even, like, I'm just sitting there taking photos, and even the drivers were like, do you want a hero card? And I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, I didn't want to, like, I don't know how many they have specifically, so I don't want to, like, take away from, like, anyone who actually was there at 4:30 in the morning to actually get a wristband. So, but that was the junior, or gosh, why do I keep saying that? Joe Gibbs. The Joe Gibbs fan day. Then after that, we literally just went to the mall. Me and the girls, we got lost in the mall, trying to find Starbucks. But after that, we forgot the Holler Parade was that night, so we missed it, unfortunately. And then my mom got there that night, because she's never been to the infield of Charlotte, so she wanted to go, and my friend was generous enough to put in all 3 of our names, for passes. So we got up the next morning, made it to the track. My mom was thriving, okay? Well, oh wait, oh my gosh, I forgot. I went to a Lionel event on Saturday before the Joe Gibbs thing, and Michael Waltrip showed up. Like, that was so wild to me. He did do like a little Q&A thing, and I did ask him, I said, who do you think of the up-and-coming drivers has the most potential? You know? Like, who does he think can go far in NASCAR? And then immediately when I asked him, I'm like, and you cannot say Daniel Dye, because I know Michael Waltrip has a soft spot for Daniel Dye. But anyway, sorry, forgot that part. We got up Saturday. Gosh, I don't even remember what time we got up and got to the track. But we got there as we were walking in. So I have a Parker Kligerman Truck Series fire suit that when he drove for KBM. And I wore it to the race on Saturday. And so I'm walking into the track, and guess who is walking in behind me? Parker Kligerman is walking through the tunnel behind me. So I didn't even get the chance to surprise him with this race suit, because he saw me before I saw him. So he's in a rush, though. And so he's like, that's funny. I will see it later, though. So he had to take off to do whatever. But we get to the Xfinity garage. I had so many people think that I was an actual racer. I felt so good. But that morning, so one person I was really excited about meeting was Jordan Taylor. If you don't know Jordan Taylor races in IMSA, and I absolutely love Jordan Taylor and Ricky Taylor. So I was over the moon when I caught Jordan Taylor outside of his hauler. I was freaking out. And he has like an alternate personality called Rodney Sandstorm, where he kind of dresses up as Jeff Gordon. And I got one of his first oval starts cards from North Wilkesboro, and he signed it for me. Sorry, I was so excited to meet him. And then my mom was with me, so she got to meet a lot of them. I'll go through her pictures as well. She took some selfies. But after I saw Jordan, Riley Herbst was sitting outside. So moseyed on over to see Riley, and I was like, "This is my mom. She wanted to meet you because you drive for Tony." Because Tony was her driver. And he was just sitting there like chilling, talking to us, and then I mentioned the girls, and he knows the girls. He's like, "Yep, I know Molly and Lakota." So but I got a picture with him. Hold on. Here's my picture with Jordan. And then there's my picture with Riley. He's in his fire suit. And then I caught up with Parker again. So here's both of us in fire suits. I got Parker to sign the suit here. And I think practice was about to start, I believe. So I hung around. There is one spot in the Xfinity garage that I really wanted to take pictures at, because you can see as the cars are coming out of turn 2. So I was so excited about that specific turn. So I sat there and got me some pictures. Then we had Cup practice and qualifying, and I was walking around, hold on, let me talk about like the people my mom saw. She completely freaked out that Richard Childress was sitting outside in front of Austin Hills Holler. So she got a picture with him. Here is Bestie Parker signing the fire suit. Oh, excuse me. Signing the fire suit. And so this is Blaine, the driver of the team that we were with. So my mom wanted a picture with him. So my mom met all 4 of the junior motorsports drivers, and she had like the best time talking to Brandon Jones. Like, I don't know what it was, but I feel like Brandon was like one of the ones that she talked to the most. And then I told her that she needed to meet Raja, and she did. He like I said, I love Raja. And she got to meet Anthony Alfredo, because she wanted to meet him because his nickname is Fast Pasta. So she was like, I that he would be cool to meet him, and then during Cup practice and qualifying, Zane was walking through, so we caught him, and she got a picture with Zane. There were quite a few that I saw, people in Cup, like, so my mom doesn't understand that you kind of have to sometimes chase some of the drivers, and Tyler Reddick was walking, right, and he's like, Mom was like, "Hey, can we get a picture?" And he's like, "Yeah, but you gotta keep walking." And I'm like, "Mom, go." Like, so her picture didn't really turn out like as great, but like he's there, you can tell what it is, So there's her and Sam. She wanted to see Corey, because that's really the driver that she like more or less cares about, because she met him a couple years ago in Daytona, and so she wanted to see him, so she got a picture with him, and he's like, I come up with her, like I walk up to him, and then he's like, or I think my mom had asked if he remembered her, But I'm like, Mom, it was like 2 years ago. Like, he's obviously not gonna remember something like that. And then he like looks at me and he's like, well, I do remember her. I've seen her like 6 times this week. And I'm like, do not call me out like that. So we saw Carson walking through, and my mom wanted me Carson because, you know, I talk about Carson all the time. And so my mom got a picture with him. He was walking by. He was in a rush. He was like, yeah, I gotta get somewhere, but it was really nice meeting you. And obviously he recognized me, but I was like, yeah, this is my mom. And then he was so nice. Carson's always nice. But I was standing there waiting. My mom met Ross. Obviously, see, Ross recognizes me from how many times he's seen me. So now he's met my mom. Michael McDowell was walking through, so I told her, I was like, yeah, that's Michael McDowell, and she got a picture with him. And so I'm standing here, obviously, I'm in a KBM fire suit, okay? And I'm trying to get Kyle Busch to sign my fire suit. Because if I get it signed by Kyle Busch, I can never wear this thing again, for one, which kind of upset me, because, like, I wanted to wear it. But to get Kyle Busch to sign it, it's basically priceless now. And so I'm standing here. Kyle makes it to the final round of qualifying, and so he's sitting here talking to his team at the pit box, and his PR guy goes and he's like, yeah, if you want anything to say, you have to keep walking with him. And then Kyle sees what I'm wearing and stops and like stands there to sign it. Like, and so there's Kyle. My mom didn't get him in the action of signing, but that's him pulling away from signing it. And then for the race, so my mom saw Dale Jr. Walking, and she traced him down and got a picture with him.
Yeah, I heard.
But yeah. And like I said, we had the race. So I had told Blaine before qualifying, I was like, alright, I want a grid picture this time. So I am manifesting that you're gonna make it into this race, okay? Because Blaine didn't have very much confidence in getting into this race. But he did. He qualified 23rd, I think. And so whenever he came back from qualifying, I'm like, look, see, I told you, manifestation, it works. So, before the race started, we got the grid picture. Let's see. There you go. Bam. And, so we went through all the formalities, you know, like, anthem, they didn't do a flyover, but I guess that's dedicated for the cup race, I guess. So it felt really strange being at the Xfinity race and not having a flyover. But yeah, and then we did our fist bumps, so I'm like, alright, good luck, Blaine, you got this. And then we know what happened during the race. But let's see. So my mom is a basically professional networker, and the entire Saturday, every driver we would meet, she would mention our podcast. And so there are a lot of drivers who now know about our podcast. And she found out all the ways to contact each of these each of these drivers. So, guys, we might be getting some drivers. I just have to work out all the details, but
crying, but it's fine. Bro, I've already cried so many times today. I literally cried, even though I knew that Carson was going to the 77 car, but guess what? Still cried, because apparently I'm a crier for Carson Hocebar now. That doesn't happen.
But yeah, all in all, it was a fun weekend. I now have a bag full of lug nuts. Because, so if you guys don't know, I don't know if I kept this in an episode or not, but Martinsville, I'm gonna be dressed up in costume, and along with candy, I'm gonna be handing out lug nuts. Because I feel like kids at races, they'd probably also enjoy getting a lug nut. I mean, unfortunately it's an Xfinity one, because it's the tiny ones. Because I don't think anybody can get a hold of a next gen, like huge like ring one, but yeah. So it's we already talked about next week. So I believe that's all of my stories from the weekend, unless you guys can remember anything that I've mentioned that I like to you guys that I haven't said on the podcast.
I don't think so, no.
I don't think so.
Well, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Peace out, guys. This has been the 16th episode of the Trackside Girls podcast.
That's hard to do. Like, you gotta do 1, and then you gotta do 6.
Right.
1, 6.
Peace out, guys.
Peace.
Peace, love, and race cars.
Peace, love, and race cars.
Race cars.